Welcome to the program, the Desk on Global Television. Time for us to look at salient issues making the rounds in Nigeria, as we'll be looking at very salient issues from the looting of the Nema warehouse in the Federal Capital Territory by some residents. And update tells us that security agencies have apprehended some suspects who took part in the looting spree. We'll also be looking at the NIM and SIM linkage update as NCC gives further directives and plans to extend the deadline. We'll be looking at that, what it means. Then we also have hardship is the kicker as federal government admit it's a tough task fixing Nigeria, says the Vice President Kashim Shettima. Then we'll be looking at the means and the ways loan scandal has sent someone to the CBN officials to tell them what they know about that particular issue. These and other stories we'll be looking at keenly as regards to what's really playing out in Nigeria. Fortunately, I'll be joined via Zoom by two guests. We've got one of them being Chief Chike Okogu, who is the founder and CEO of Ability Rehabilitation and Empowerment Initiative, who's joining us via Zoom. And also we'll be having Stephen Frank, also, who is a media practitioner, also joining us via Zoom to lend their voices to this talking point as regards these silent issues making the rounds. The program would kickstart in full blast when we come back from this quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Is that the Desk on Global Television? It's now time for us to hit the discourse button, and let's make welcome our two guests who join us via Zoom. I want to say welcome to Chief Chike Okogu, the founder of Ability Rehabilitation and Empowerment Initiative. Thank you for joining us via Zoom. Chief Chike, thank you for joining us on the program.
Chief.
All right.
No, well, let me take the chief as the joking part of chief. I'm not a chief. Doctor, yes, but not chief.
Okay, yeah.
I have rejected the chief title.
All right.
I like my African culture, don't get it wrong.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Chike. Nice to have you join us. And I also want to make welcome Stephen Frank Ozo, who is a media practitioner. Thank you for joining us on the program, The Desk.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much
let's begin our discourse with the first talking point of the day, which has to do with Tinubu, government facing difficult task, fixing Nigeria. That's what the Vice President Kashim Shettima disclosed, saying that the Tinubu's administration is finding it very difficult fixing Nigeria. Gentlemen, is this not a surprise comment and admission by the Vice President when he says they're facing a difficult task fixing Nigeria? And Mr. President had told us during the election that he knows the problems of Nigeria, and that's why he's putting himself forward to fix Nigeria. Do you think this is an admission to say we've lost ideas on how to tackle the challenges facing the country? All right.
I will not.
Okay.
I will not. Okay. Can I speak?
Yeah.
Because
yes.
my time is very limited.
Go ahead.
Let me say, let me first welcome Frank to the program. Wonderful brother of mine. Amazing man.
Thank you.
Yes.
So good to be here with you.
So, indeed, in leadership, I will not say that admitting that there is a challenge and that there's a problem is the first step to take in leadership. So the vice president and the president admitting that the problems are there, they are daunting, is a good step in the right direction. It's not a flaw at all. Added to that, I would also say that they have not lost ideas. Perhaps they underestimated the amount of decadence that the system is fraught with. They did not see this amount of challenge coming. But notwithstanding, the president has also said that we should not pity him, that he knew that the job was going to be daunting. And like you rightly said, he elected to do this job. So we should not pity him. And that is why Nigerians are not sparing him. Because we all know that the problems will be there. And his duty is to find solutions to the problems. The only problem that Nigerians have with them is that they are applying the medicine after death approach instead of the thoughtful, tactical approach of they have 3 months to study the situation. Maybe again too, because I know a little bit about the system, they were not granted access. You know, they were not granted access to certain information that they would have wanted. Take, for example, what is happening in the CBN, Nigerian Customs, all those places. They did not know that the rot in the CBN will be as much as it is today, which is indeed one of the things that has affected our Naira. But a quick one I want to add now. Everybody has been saying it, and I want to, well, not everyone, but I want to lend my strong voice to this. There are 2 leakages in our economy that is impacting negatively on the Naira. Mr. President, please, sir, make it difficult for people to be able to buy dollar. The whole corruption that goes on in this country needs the banks. Because if they buy $10 million, $100 million in the black market, they need the banks to move that money out. And make sure that it is technically and tremendously difficult to move a certain amount of money out. People want to pay school fees. People want to do all that. Those are minor things. They should make those ones easy. But if the amount you're moving out is above, you cannot do more than $100,000 in a month. And if you're a businessman, you must get all the necessary approvals from the Ministry of Finance and from the CBN. It's just a matter of filling forms. It's not, don't make it difficult. In the, the process, it should be seamless, but you should be able to track it. So that way you know beforehand when people are moving huge sums of money. Because what has been happening is that politicians and those in authority have been stealing these monies, go to the Bureau d'Exchange, buy up the dollar, and move these monies out of the country. So that leakage is there. And if we don't plug it, and Naira, because what has been happening is that the dollar, there's a chase between the Naira and the dollar. And every time demand and supply comes in, people that are legitimately using dollars for their business don't get to have those dollars. I do business and I need to import spreads. You don't find dollars to buy. But if you want to, if I want to buy dollars for corrupt business today, assuming I want to do any corrupt practice, boy, I can get dollars. I can get $10 million today. All I need to do is pay the right price. So we need to make sure that these are the things, if we're able to make, get access to financing very easy, in the sense that to improve production. Because I'm into production. And if we're able to do some of that here in our country, we produce what we want and we produce what we need and need what we produce. That is the way the Nigerian economy will go. It is
other guest, Frank Steven, also. Let's look at what the Vice President has said, admitting that the task is quite daunting for the Tinubu administration. Yeah. For you, how do you perceive that comment from the Vice President?
Like I said earlier, okay. Frank, okay, right? Go ahead, Frank.
Thank you so much. So good to have you here, and so good to be on this platform with you, sir. Like my boss said here, I think it's quite a good thing to admit that one is finding it difficult. It's such a daunting task to that they tackling the challenge that we have in the country as it is. But just like he rightly said here, I don't think it is time. We taking that, accepting it, will come either in either of these two ways. Are you saying it to make us believe that, see, you have failed? Or are you saying it to uh, encourage us to know that you are actually working, that you're actually going through some processes to bring us out of this situation? Because if that is not the case, then we need to cry louder, okay? Because the problem of this country, I don't think anybody who has been in the political space, who has actually been um, making efforts to govern this country, I think had enough time to study what our problems are, especially the key common ones like this one we are facing. From when it started, the removal of fuel subsidy, you know, in as much as a lot of people, in fact, almost all the presidential candidates of different political parties campaigned, with the removal of the fuel subsidy. They all said they were going to remove the fuel subsidy. So, what Nigerians are tempted now to begin to think that this other party, the party in power now, may have just campaigned with the removal of fuel subsidy on a shallow note, because it is looking like there was no proper study. They didn't properly study the the nitty-gritties, the way, the economic implications and all that, and of course the timing of the removal of the subsidy, having, I think the timing was wrong, because um, there's no study, there's no very concrete arrangement in place to do. So it's just a case of doing the right thing at the wrong time. I think that's what has happened now. And saying that it wasn't envisaged, I don't think is correct, because um, they should have studied that this is, and just like my boss said here, we are quite, we are more reactive than proactive. So, and even at this point now, I think there is still something they can do. I think we applaud him for accepting that, okay, this is, at least we have known that someone understands that Nigerians are suffering. At least I'm so glad that has happened, because what happens most of the time is that the political elites do not actually connect with the people on this level. They do not understand. They do not understand what people are going through, because they don't have to queue in the fueling station to fill their tanks. They don't have to, go buy bread and feel the pain of the increase in price of wheat, and they don't buy sachet water in the streets. Sachet water that was sold 5 naira before, when it got up to 10 naira, people were shouting. Right now, sachet water is 50 naira, and this is the easier, the only available water for the man in the street to drink. So imagine consuming 10 sachets of water, and that is 250. You consume 20. The laborers in the, mixing concrete in the sites, who are paid how much per day work, consume 20 sachets of water, that's 500 naira, and all that. So now that, if the vice president is sincere, like I believe he is, then it is time now for them to begin to find solution to tackle this thing, to tackle, to it's not just, mere, speaking in a conference and, making the people feel good and then walking away. We need to know. And even I've heard the president say that time after, time and time again, that Nigerians should be patient. We should be patient. They are working. Now, Nigerians wants to see, if I am being patient, I should be able to see that we're actually embarking on a journey, and I'm looking at where we are possibly headed, so that I can be patient and really be patient, with the hope that we are getting out of this. But as it is, that statement, acknowledging the fact is one thing, taking actions to, finding solution is another. We need to see where we actually are headed. Now, fuel subsidy was removed, and then we landed ourselves here. No one has come to admit this rumor that, to confirm that it is true, but largely people are saying it is true that still we are paying subsidy. So what is actually, what's the implication of this? What's the brain behind this, and where are we really headed? What's the hope for Nigerians? So these are the things that they have to be looking into as they keep giving us hope. So we don't just end up having false hope and then getting used to, because in the past it has been having hope, having hope. At the end of the day, there is no solution, but the only solution is we continue to stretch. Nigerians have very long limit, elastic limit of our stress, bearing level. It's quite so long. We continue to endure and then continue to get used to it. It just continues to get bad. But then I tell you, there's a point it will get to that we can't bear it anymore, just like it is happening already. You have seen it happening. I think one of our talking points here is the vandalism of NEMA warehouse and all that. So you can see it's happening already,
All right.
but we can't bear it.
All right, let's get into that discourse about the warehouse. That's where we're getting to. The security agencies have come out this evening to tell us that two suspects have been arrested. Two of the security guards in the NEMA warehouse where the event did occur have been arrested, alongside 13 other suspects. Let's look at that. That breaking into the NEMA warehouse. Do you think the fact that the security agencies have already come up with as much as 15 suspects is a positive move? And are you surprised that these suspects were not caught? Nobody was arrested during this looting, but rather it was after it was all done and dusted that they're coming out 24, 48 hours afterwards to tell us, okay, these are the suspects that have been caught. And how easy was it for them to arrest two of the security guards employed?
Well, I just do hope, like you fear, that it's not that is the people who, it's not the people who are actually innocent of it, of that vandalism that was arrested afterwards. But be that as it may, in as much as I condemn completely, the act of criminality, that is what it is. You can't break into what does not belong to you and vandalize it and then, cause, harm, destroy properties and, of government, and of course, cause, unrest in the environment. Okay, so I condemn that. It's condemnable, and no one would doubt that. But then, when you take it from the root cause of it, why do people have to take the risk to go vandalize? They know the implication of what they are going to do. But I tell you, there is a point it gets to. People. There's a comedian that said one time, Nigeria, if to say they are alive, we for don't die. Someone said that. So if to say they are alive like this before, so it's a situation. Some persons have gotten to this situation where they don't value their lives anymore because they are already seeing themselves as dead. They are dying already. So why fear death when death is already, staring them in the face due to hunger and lack? So that's why they can go all out to, risk their lives, just the same thing that happens when you see petrol tanker, fall, people go fetching fuel, and of course you saw what happened in Lagos last week, some persons, because meanwhile, kudos to Lagos state government and some other state governments who have actually seen and are profiling practical solutions to this. This is what I want the federal government to, to emulate, because this is just the way out. So just like you had there in Lagos, when they are doing reduced, selling food at reduced price, food items at reduced price. And then you saw this stampede that happened there. These are people who wouldn't mind, who would do anything because they are hungry. And these are the kind of news that we should allow to reach the ears and eyes of those in power, of the president himself. Let's people stop telling him everything is all right, because you see, whether you like it or not, if those around him keeping this from him, he won't really understand what we are going through, what the people are going through. So news like this puts you in the know of the current situation of things in the country, and then informing them that it is time to take that drastic measure to curb this menace. So just like it happened there, these are people who don't care about anything anymore, but they just want to feed. So that is why they have gone to vandalize. Let me now ask and advise the police, in as much as they are going to be giving just, allowing the law take its course and all that. I implore that we take a non-kinetic approach largely to tackling this. The reason is, if you do not solve a problem from its cause, you have not solved it. No matter what you do, you have not solved it. People are hungry. You can arrest 15 persons, whether they are the right persons who were there, whether they connived, the security men in the warehouse connived with people, or it might even be a case of that the people overpower the security men. Okay, that might be the case, just like it happened during COVID, when they gave some politicians palliatives to share and they hoarded them in warehouses, and people discovered, overpowered everybody. Even when security agents, forces landed on the site, they continued. So that might be the case. So it's not a matter of doing arrests. It is not a matter of arresting people or prosecuting people. No. This is not me being a prophet of doom. But if you can arrest 15, 20, 30 persons in Station 1 today, it might happen in another station tomorrow, because you have not tackled the problem from its roots. I think that's a way to go about this. We tackle the problem from, intervene. We are talking about the minimum wage. NLC have been protesting. These are ways to cushion the effects of these things. The issue of minimum wage will be a problem. Increase the minimum. People have access. Let people at least start somewhere to cushion this economic crisis, which is affecting at all levels.
Okay, let's also get the views of, thank you, Stephen Frank, there for your views as regards as we look at the issues making the rounds this evening. Let's also, we're also being joined by Solomon Onyekole, who is the project management consultant, also joining us as we look at the big issues making the rounds in Nigeria. Solomon, good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Good evening, Anthony. Thank you for having me.
All right, one of the big stories. Okay, one of the big stories we're looking at, aside the issue of the looting of the NEMA warehouse in Abuja, we've got the NIM-SIM linkage, which the NCC has given an update on the disconnected subscribers. The Commission has disclosed that it's looking at extending the deadline so that more subscribers can, get their name and their SIM linked up. They are looking at 31st of March 2024 to, give that deadline, as over 42 million people would be affected if they had gone ahead to bar subscribers. Do you think the government, the NCC, it's on the right track in terms of giving deadlines that are not realistic as a project management expert? Now extending to 31st of March, is it realistic or should it be ongoing?
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Anthony. So basically for me, and I've always had these conversations when I have the opportunity to meet with people that are in government or decision makers, right? When you're setting your goals has to be smart, right? So I'm part of the acronym for SNART is also be realistic, like you said. So I don't know why there is a hurry, one, in capping it at March 31st, knowing fully well that you have such a number of people to cater for or to actually connect or link. So now you want to now, I mean, when you're making policies, you have to also look at the environment. You have to localize your policies and be able to see in Nigeria, if over the past years, if we've been making these policies and we'll be saying this and that, what does it eventually turn out to be? One of the things you will see is that people will start being exploited, right? So it becomes a cash cow for some people, because I don't know, why can't we extend it over 8 months and then roll out a project management plan that say, okay, within the next 8 months, this is what we do. Of course, we know Nigerians, they will wait till the last minute. That is who we are as a people. Even if you extend it for the next 2 years, Nigerians will wait till the last month. But for at least this, can we just, people are grabbing what to eat. They are grabbing, I mean, can I go to the MTN office or Airtel office or any of these banks to go and link? Now I need to eat, I need to survive, right? So that's what I'm all out for, right? So when I get to MTN office, it's either I bribe somebody to be able to get, I mean, spend my time. So I think it's not right to look at that 1 month cap. Over 45 million people will be affected if you had gone ahead today. So are you saying that those 45 million people will be catered for within the next 1 month? What are the infrastructure? This same telecoms operator, you get to them and they tell you there's no network. I go there 3, 4, 5 times and they tell you there's no network. Can we span it over a period of time and then gradually have, what's National Orientation Agency doing? Consistently telling people, and I mean, talking to people, sensitizing people over the period that say, this is a countdown. And that's what advanced countries do. We count down to the time, and you're intimating the people over the 6 months, 5 more months, 4 more months. This, so the people are aware. So when you take your decision, it will be so clear that you've done your best to inform and make them aware. So that's what I feel. I think it's a wrong policy for them to cap it at 1 month between now and the end of March. I think it's very wrong. They will not achieve the result. And I'm very sure I can come back on this show after March 31st that the government will shift the goalpost again. So why not sit down right from the get-go and plan something that is realistic and then implement, so that when you're implementing, everybody knows that, yes, you're actually being fair and you actually thought through what you're implementing. That's my take on it. Thank you.
Just a quick one. In the last 48 hours, the issue of the break into the NEMA warehouse came out, and now the security agencies have said two of the security guards in the warehouse have been arrested alongside other 13 members for being part of those who looted the NEMA warehouse. Are you impressed with the speed at which these culprits were apprehended and not apprehended during the process of the looting, which took more than 30 minutes? And how come they were not apprehended? Are you convinced?
Well, whatever happens, there will be a fall guy or there will be fall guys. but people are hungry. They will loot anything. The job is not to arrest people. The job is to address the situation. Now, people looted for 30 minutes. You could not come in, curb the looting. Then immediately after, you started arresting security men. So if they overpowered the security guards, really, if they overpowered them, what would they do? I mean, we handle Nigerians as if we are not humane. We're not human beings. So if the security agencies in Nigeria were to have been the one attacked, you will say that they were overpowered. But a civilian security agent handling this place, and because they don't have that infantry, I mean, it's very wrong. It's very wrong to have gone to pick those guys. Please, Nigerians are hungry. I learned that sometime very recently too, a truck was vandalized. A truck carrying food was vandalized. Who do you want to arrest? Nigerians are hungry. Wherever they see food, they will storm the place. That is the base. That is what we should address. Arresting is just being inhuman. And that is the truth. People are hungry. Address the hunger, and you will see the sanity return to our national space.
I want to urge you, Solomon Oyekule, and also Maureen Okpe, and Frank Stephen, to give us a, let's go for a very quick break. When we return, the discourse continues. I urge you to rejoin us as we go for a very quick break. Stay with us.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back. It's still the desk on Global Television, and we're looking at salient issues making the rounds in not just the FCT, but Nigeria as a whole. All right, let's move on to the next talking point, which has to do with the recent bilateral ties between Nigeria and Qatar, where the president did visit Qatar, and the Investors Forum had a meeting where the president urged the Qatari investors to report directly to the federal government if any Nigerian official did ask for bribe in order to get any deal cross the line. And that was a very instructive one. I've got Solomon Oyekule, project management expert, and who is still with me via Zoom, and Stephen Also, thank you very much for rejoining us back on the desk. All right. Okay, Stephen, are you there? Stephen, also, are you there?
Hello. Hello, yes, yes.
Okay, let's
Hello,
look
yes.
at the recent bilateral ties and the meeting between Nigeria and Qatar, where the president did visit Qatar and told the Qatari investors and government that if they did come over to Nigeria in terms of trying to do business and any Nigerian official did ask for bribe, they should be reported directly to the federal government. Was that a good move by Mr. President, and how does it, rub up on Nigeria's image?
Just like when I think what I would respectfully advise our leaders to do is, most of the time, people do not actually understand the position that they occupy. In order to guard some utterances that they make. And the rave of, speaking from the head, extempore, makes one feel quite, it's not out of place to have a written speech when you are appearing at some certain kind of fora. So you don't say something that you didn't really mean to say, that would demarcate your country or your constituency as a leader. In the case of our president, I am very sure he may not really, that might not be what he meant to say, but it just came out of his mouth because it might be in his mind. Oh yes, and of course he sees it is something that is possible to happen. Okay, yeah, even though we know that something like that happens, when you have government officials who are, of course, stewards of some of these, ministries, agencies where you would want to come do business, have investors come do business. But then saying that to an investor, your imminent investor, a prospective investor, is already pointing to him that, see, this is not even a safe place. It's a highly corrupt place that, you're not safe doing business. So it demarcates the country already. So it's not a correct thing to say, and not a correct thing to say at all. And I do believe that maybe the president will be better advised going forward. He has now become a president, and his words, both in and outside Nigeria, holds power, and people are going to act on it. A president, a leader, don't just speak anyhow anymore, because your words are powerful, more powerful than it used to be when you were not a leader. You can see how powerful subsidy is gone. His inaugural speech became on the immediate. Immediately he made that statement. The next 1 hour there was panic buying. Next day, days and weeks, fuel price jacked up, and we are still in it till now. So I think the president should have, his advisors, go to work and advise him better, especially on utterances at forums like this.
On the flip side, don't you think it also probably would give the Qataris some bit of assurance that the federal government is going to ensure that the ease of doing business for the Qatari investors will be there?
I do not think so. I do not think so. You don't go and tell the outsider that you don't have confidence in the people you have hired to work for you. Then why do you have them? Why are you the leader? You should take all the blame for whatever misnomer that your your staff. See, the president is the commander-in-chief, the president and commander-in-chief of he makes all the appointments. He is the chief, he's the chief principal of all the civil servants in Nigeria. Okay, so you're not telling me that you know that you have staff who are not doing the right thing, and you keep them even and you know that, and you're not doing anything about it, even to the point of making that obvious to the investor you're going to lobby to come invest in that means there is something wrong somewhere. Yeah, you don't demarket your place. You can't go tell them that your house is not in order. It's
All
not
right,
a correct
let's
thing.
get the view of Solomon Onyekunle. Onyekunle, looking at the comments of Mr. President, how do you think this plays out on in terms of investors coming from Qatar? The fact that the president had made such statements, would that probably give us an edge, or like Frank said, probably demarket the Nigerian business environment?
All right. I saw that video and I laughed, right? And so, so what Mr. Frank just said is a point, but there's another perspective to it from my own angle, is that in as much as the president is the head of all the civil servants, we can still say that reality demands us to also inform whoever we are advising to come in, to say, right, we're trying to make reforms. And I think that was what the president said, that we are making reforms. The reforms are ongoing, right? And see, I'm a very objective person. And the truth about it, everybody in the world and all investors in the world, they all know, they've done their scanning, and they all know Nigeria is corrupt. That cannot be taken away. Even we here know that we are corrupt, right? And
Okay.
And the president was trying to, I always don't like to take things out of context. And the president was trying to assure these investors that yes, we are having reforms. We're trying to tackle corruption. In fact, he showcased Nuru Ribadu right there and said, look, this man was in your country and was given an award for his anti-corruption crusade. This guy is now the NSA, meaning that we are trying to curb this thing that has actually put like a barrier to FDIs from coming into Nigeria. You really need to know, as much as, look at it, as little as getting a professional coach to come and coach, an international coach to come and coach Nigeria. NFF will bargain with our coach. These things is what we all know. And we shouldn't shy away from it because we want to market and market wrongly. A lot of coaches have said they won't coach Nigerian team because of what they have to pay NFF. We all know these things. That being said, and the president actually highlighted it that, look, we are doing a reform. We are trying to change this order. And we are trying to tell you that, look, Nigeria is now safe to invest. Nobody will rub you in your hands. Nobody will twist your hand to say that if you don't do this, this will not happen. So please, yes, this might have been what you guys have experienced in the past. If you look at that statement very well, he said, whatever thing you've experienced in the past that is negative, let it be in the past. So let's not just pick that word out of context. There is a build-up to what he said, because I don't take things out of context. I listen, and I listen well. I listen to what he said and what is not said. So he said there's a build-up to say, look, we are trying to reform Nigeria. Look at this man. While he was the EFCC chairman, you guys even gave him an award. This guy is also a senior member of this administration, right? He's now the NSA. And upon that, he built and said, look, if anybody tries to twist your hand or ask for a bribe, report that person to us. Meaning that we are trying to rebuild. We are trying to cut some things. We are trying to stop some things. This might have been, the president has information. He's well informed. Maybe this might have been what is stopping people from investing in Nigeria, because they have to pay percentage to X, the percentage to Y, the percentage to Z. And he's saying, look, all things are going.
All right.
But if you see anything while you bring your money in, please let us know.
All right, let me stay with you before I get to Frank as we wrap up the program. The next talking point has to do with the means and ways loan scandal, and we've got the Senate summoning CBN officials to come help, say what they know as regards the release of 30 trillion naira, a billion naira to, the Nigerian. To Nigerians and how the federal government and how it was spent. Are you confident that this probe by the National Assembly is going to make any headway? Because the federal government we're talking about is a past administration, and how do you see this playing out? We've seen such probes in the past.
Like I say, I will have to be objective as much as I can. Nothing has actually ever come out of probes in Nigeria. Nothing. All the probes that have happened in the past, nothing has ever come out of them. Nothing. I mean, and I can say nothing. In fact, for all we know, the loots that were recovered from EFCC, we just heard that nothing has gone to federal government coffers. So you are probing ways and means. I mean, see, there is a lot in this country that will actually make you want to. But for some of us, we still believe in Nigeria, and we still believe in the potentials Nigeria have. I believe this government is trying to turn things around. If the National Assembly members, the senators, if they will be honest enough not to cut deals, I think they can achieve. And I say that word with all form of responsibility. If they will be honest enough not to cut deals on this money, then we are on to a right track. But if it's for them to also cut their own deal, I mean, story is the case. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Let's get to Stephen as we wrap up the program. Stephen, let's quickly look at the means and ways, loan scandal. And the Senate committee chairman on the ad hoc committee, Issa Jibril, who made the disclosure as regards the Senate, setting up a probe panel for CBN officials. Do you think the CBN officials will be bold enough to speak truth to power and probably point out specific figures in the last administration that these monies were released to?
Well, we do sincerely hope that it's not business.
You're laughing like you don't believe that they're going to be able to call Boss Mustafa and Cole out to say these are the persons.
What we have seen happen in this country, over and over again is, administration, this administration does.
All right, I think we're having some. Okay, are you there? Frank?
I think
we lost Frank there, losing him at that vital point when he was about to make those clarifications as regards the issue of. Final take, Solomon. Solomon, are you there?
All right. Yes, I'm with you.
So let's end the conversation with you since we lost Stephen there. The first talking point as regards the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, making his comment as regards how difficult it is fixing the issues facing Nigeria. How would you describe his comment, his admission of the fact that, yes, things are quite difficult?
Yeah, I think he's honest. And sincerity. One of the major things in leadership is sincerity, right? And we shouldn't take that away. As a leader, you should be sincere. Yeah, it's difficult. I've said it before the election, that whoever will fix Nigeria, because I've looked at the numbers, I've looked at the figures, and I said, whoever will fix Nigeria is not going to have an easy ride. So the Vice President, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, coming out and saying it's difficult, it's sincerity in leadership. I mean, we should applaud him for being sincere. That does not say they won't do it. The president has come out severally to say that, look, I took this job. I campaigned for this job. Don't pity me. It's not easy, yes, but don't pity me. So it's sincerity in leadership to say that, yeah, it's not easy. I mean, when a leader tells you it's not, he's just being vulnerable. It's not easy. It's not easy. But they're not throwing in the towel. They are still ready to go on. So it's not easy. It's not easy. It's sincerity in leadership. That's
All
how I
right,
see it.
thank you very much, Solomon Onyekule. Thank you for making your debut on the desk this evening. Amazing. Thank you for all your analysis. And also big thank you to Stephen Frank, also a media practitioner who joined us via Zoom also, and for your contribution. And not forgetting Dr. Chike Okogu, who also kick-started our discourse this evening on the program, The Desk. My name is Anthony Momodu saying thank you for joining us on today's edition. Let's do this again tomorrow. Good evening.